Cooma has always been the gateway to the Snowy Mountains. For those travelling from the north, it signals the beginning of the ascent to Australia's highest peaks. It's a town that's been shaped by some unique people.
Yeah, okay, Robbie, come on now.
Thanks, mate. In the 1950s, there were more European cars registered here in Cooma than in Sydney. And if you wanted to get a decent cup of coffee at 2 o'clock in the morning in Australia, there are only two places for you, King's Cross in Sydney and right here in Cooma. You see, Cooma was one of Australia's first great multicultural mixing pots. This happened because the Snowy Mountains scheme had started in 1949 and a huge workforce from all over the world had descended on Cooma.
This is Charlie Silvestro, president of the Cooma Bocce Club.
Hello, I'm Charlie Silvestro, the president of the Cooma Bocce Club. I'd like to welcome you all to our wonderful club.
Yes!
The Snowy scheme transformed Cooma forever.
Oh, here we go.
But these weren't the first Europeans to come to Cooma. Captain Curry and Major Ovens first explored this district and the settlers soon followed. One of the reasons why settlement was so rapid in this area was because the land didn't have to be cleared. The Monero plains around Cooma were immediately attractive for running stock. This is Coolrington, one of Monero's earliest settlements, and by the 1840s, this property was in the hands of one William Bradley.
William Bradley's actually a bit of a hero of mine. Not only was he one of the most important pioneers in the district, but he was also influential in getting the first railways built in New South Wales. When it came to setting up his headquarters, he had one of the most substantial structures in the district built. Just behind the present homestead, built in 1890, is Old Coolrington, built in 1838. You've got to remember at the time, most constructions were slab, dirt floors, bit of bark on the roof. What we've got here, solid stone and brick walls, 2 foot thick, imported iron roof, beautiful thick hardwood floors. For the era and the district, this is a palace.
Bradley's determination to get a railway to Cooma was legitimised further with the discovery of gold. Thousands of people passed through Cooma on their way to the latest gold rush at nearby Kyandra.
You've just got to imagine 15,000 miners camped in the valley here, and apparently the conditions were appalling. One miner described it as being like the Klondike in Alaska. It was an unusual goldfield, extremely rich. It yielded 2 tonnes of gold in the year of 1860 alone, but it was also very short-lived. Within 18 months, it was all over. But for me, this slope here has much more significance. In the winter of 1861, a couple of Scandinavian miners decided to strap some planks of wood underneath their shoes, and they zoomed down this slope here. What they did was introduce the idea of skiing into Australia. The village lingered on into the early 1900s, but now, sadly, most of it has either been burnt down or demolished.
Just outside Cooma, this old car yard holds one other lasting memory of Kyandra.
Today, Kyandra is an easy hour's drive from Cooma, on a pretty good road, but 70 years ago, this old bus would have been working like a demon to get up there. What a beauty. Been a while since she's been to the snow, though. Remember William Bradley? Well, he didn't quite live long enough to see trains roll into Cooma, but his determination to see lines branch south from Sydney partially to service his enormous holdings in this district, ensured that the branch line to Cooma was made a top priority for the colonial government of the day. Thanks, guys, that was great. He probably didn't realise then just how significant this line would be to one of Australia's most ambitious engineering projects, a project that would transform the town of Cooma. You just can't underestimate the scale of the Snowy Mountains hydro scheme. At a time when our nation was not yet 50 years old, it's a real testament to the designers and engineers who came up with the project. So vast and complex.
The idea was simple. Capture the crystal clear water of the Snowy Mountains in a series of dams and then divert it through huge trans-mountain tunnels and release it into the western rivers. The idea of producing hydropower actually came as an afterthought. Construction began in 1949. The workforce came from all over the world. Over 30 nationalities worked on the scheme and faced the extremes of climate and geography. Vertical ravines combined with freezing winters and searing hot summers. Eventually, 1,600 kilometres of access roads were built, 80 kilometres of aqueducts, 145 kilometres of tunnels, 16 dams and 7 power stations. And you know the other thing I reckon? That this project gave Australia a sense of confidence, that with a huge effort we could build something this substantial.
I arrived in Cooma on the 16th of June 1952. It was the middle of winter. I was one of the youngest employer in the scheme, and I worked with all different nationalities, and it was something very, very special to work with these people. And it was like having a trip around the world. You meet up with people from all different parts of the world, and the camaraderie was unbelievable.
It became a symbol of the new post-war Australia. By 1974, over 100,000 men and women had worked on the scheme.
For many workers, coming to Cooma in the Snowy Mountains was their introduction to a brand new world. And working on such a massive engineering project gave them a chance to demonstrate their skills, to contribute to the development of a young nation, to work and build a life for themselves. Many moved on. Some have stayed. And they give Cooma a character all of its own. All right, Robbie, let's roll, mate.